January 23rd, 1942. The final solution.
Aber mein Freund, ich hab die anderen genauso vernichtet.
During the haunting times of World War II, the names Treblinka and Sobibor resonate as chilling epitomes of Nazi horror. These places weren't just locations, they were dreadful centers where the Nazis systematically exterminated human lives, turning them into mere numbers and ashes. Active from 1941 to 1943, under the orders of Heinrich Himmler and the detailed planning of Adolf Eichmann, these camps represented the darkest part of the Nazis' final solution. Inside these camps, cruel experiments and horrific punishments were carried out, stripping victims of their dignity and subjecting them to unimaginable suffering, often at the hands of notorious doctors like Josef Mengele. Join us as we unveil the harrowing atrocities inside the worst Nazi concentration camps. Tracing the path to Nazi extermination. Few events are as grimly woven as the emergence of the Nazi extermination camps in the 20th century. The sinister ideology behind these camps didn't appear suddenly. It developed over years of deep-seated anti-Semitic beliefs, political maneuvering, and a strong desire for racial purity. As we look back to the 1930s, Adolf Hitler's rise to power and the Nazi Party's ascent cannot be overlooked. Germany, still reeling from the aftermath of World War I and the harsh Treaty of Versailles, provided fertile ground for Hitler's nationalist ideas. Through passionate speeches and charismatic oration, Hitler gained immense support. By 1933, his appointment as chancellor marked a turning point, as his earlier rhetoric turned into a terrifying reality. Under the guise of Aryan superiority, the Nazi Party began enforcing laws targeting Jewish citizens. The infamous Nuremberg Laws of 1935 stripped Jews of their German citizenship and prohibited them from marrying or having relationships with individuals of German descent. These laws isolated and made Jewish individuals vulnerable, leading to their alienation from society. The situation worsened as the 1930s progressed. The Kristallnacht, or Night of Broken Glass in 1938, sanctioned by the state, resulted in the destruction of countless Jewish-owned properties and the arrest of tens of thousands of Jews. This event foreshadowed the horrors that followed. While Hitler aimed for a racially pure Europe, the means to achieve this goal shifted. Initially, immigration was encouraged, but as Nazi control expanded, mass immigration became impractical. The invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 brought millions more Jews under Nazi rule, expediting the path to extermination. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS and a close associate of Hitler, openly discussed the extermination plan in a chilling 1943 speech. The Nazis aimed not just to eliminate the current Jewish population, but also to prevent future generations. This resolve led to the Wannsee Conference in January 1942, where senior Nazi officials devised the final solution to the Jewish question. The plan involved deporting Jews to extermination camps in occupied Poland, such as Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec, designed solely for systematic extermination. Treblinka, between July 1942 and November 1943, witnessed the extermination of an estimated 800,000 to 1 million Jews. These numbers represent not just statistics, but a staggering scale of human suffering that is almost incomprehensible. Unveiling the horrors of Treblinka and Sobibor, the Nazis meticulously crafted their extermination camps, turning them into death factories. These places, like Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec, weren't randomly built. They were carefully designed to wipe out people efficiently. When prisoners arrived, they were fooled by a fake railway station at places like Treblinka. It looked real, with schedules and a ticket counter, but it was all a trick to calm them. Behind this deception lay a more sinister reality. These camps were made for one thing: killing on a massive scale. Unlike concentration camps, which forced people into hard labor, places like Sobibor were specifically for mass murder. Their gas chambers, where the killings happened, grew over time. At Sobibor, deadly gas from engines was used. Victims were misled, told they were going for showers, and then forced into the gas chambers. At Belzec, they initially used engine gas but later switched to a poison called Zyklon B. The gas chambers looked harmless outside, often disguised as showers, but inside, they were chambers of death. After people were killed, their bodies were dumped into huge pits. The Nazis treated the dead like products in a factory, even burning them day and night in cremation pits they forced prisoners to dig. Everything in these camps was designed for control and killing. The buildings, the fences, and even the watchtowers were set up to make sure no one could resist and to make death happen faster. Amidst this horror, some prisoners resisted quietly. They tried to mess up the extermination process by damaging equipment or hiding valuables. But what's most haunting isn't just how efficient these camps were at killing, but how the people running them saw it as normal. The designs weren't crazy ideas. They were cold, calculated plans to kill as many people as possible while spending as little as they could. The flames of rebellion in the shadow of death. Amid the grim history of the Holocaust, there are tales of hope and resistance, shining through the dark narrative created by the Nazis. One such powerful story is the uprising at Sobibor, a symbol of the unbreakable spirit of those oppressed, showing that even in the darkest times, the fire of resistance can burn bright. Sobibor, located in the Polish forests, was a dreadful extermination camp, where life meant little and death was routine. Yet in autumn 1943, whispers of rebellion from other camps inspired a secret group of prisoners to plan an audacious escape. They were joined by Soviet Jewish prisoners of war, and among them, Alexander Sasha Pachery, a Soviet lieutenant, and Leon Feldhendler, a Polish Jew, masterminded a plan to overthrow their oppressors. Their strategy was daring: eliminate SS officers and Ukrainian guards, seize the weapons, and storm the main gate. On October 14, 1943, the plan was set in motion. With axes, knives, and sheer determination, they silently took down key officers. The chaos erupted when a body was discovered, forcing the prisoners to act faster than planned. Amid the gunfire, around 300 of the 600 inmates managed to break free. Sadly, many were later caught and executed. However, their spirit had already made an impact. The Nazis, embarrassed and fearing further uprisings, quickly dismantled the camp, trying to erase the evidence of their crimes. Yet, they couldn't erase the mark left by the rebellion on history. The bravery of Sobibor's rebels lives on in the words of survivors and historians. Thomas Tuvai Blatt, who escaped, remarked that he rebelled not just to survive, but for revenge. His words capture the spirit of that October day, a mix of desperation, hope, and defiance that remains a potent reminder of the human will to resist tyranny. The dark legacy of medical atrocities in Ates and Ravensbrück. Within the horrifying backdrop of the Holocaust, there's a particularly ghastly chapter that resembles a nightmarish tale: the medical experiments conducted on inmates. While places like Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec were designed mainly for extermination, camps like Ates and Ravensbrück saw a disturbing fusion of science and cruelty. Around the early 1940s, medical professionals, usually meant to heal, cruelly used their knowledge to cause suffering in the name of so-called scientific advancement. Dr. Karl Klauberg, notably infamous, conducted sterilization experiments at Ates. He sought methods for mass sterilization, subjecting women to excruciating procedures involving injecting caustic substances into their uteruses, often leading to severe complications or death. In these camps, medical personnel treated prisoners as mere test subjects. Stripped of their identities, they were subjected to pharmaceutical trials without consent. These experiments ranged from drug testing to procedures with unpredictable and sometimes fatal consequences, leaving prisoners with debilitating health issues. Apart from drugs, experiments explored high-altitude conditions and hypothermia, simulating environments soldiers might face. However, for prisoners, it was a perilous dance with death, as many didn't survive these tests. The horror peaked with infectious disease experiments. Prisoners were intentionally infected with diseases like typhus or tuberculosis by Dr. Irvin Ding Schuler to study these illnesses and explore treatments, rationalizing their suffering for potential vaccines. Among these doctors, Dr. Josef Mengele stands as a notorious figure. His obsession with twins led to brutal experiments, including forced insemination and limb transplants, all in a fanatical quest to understand genetics and increase the Aryan population. Families desperately hid twins upon arrival, knowing Mengele, ominously called the Angel of Death, would eagerly claim them for his experiments. These cruel medical experiments during the Holocaust remain a dark and haunting chapter in history. Inside the tragic world of the S Commando, within the dark shadow of the Holocaust, there's a story often overlooked amidst the enormity of horror: the haunting tale of the S Commando. These men were placed in a role that pushed the limits of human endurance amid the ruthless extermination process. The term S Commando means special unit, which is ironic given their task to select and kill Jews brought to the camps. These men were isolated and forced into a horrific job, from herding victims into gas chambers to disposing of their lifeless bodies in crematoria. They were trapped in a brutal cycle where their survival depended on smoothly operating the killing machinery. Zalman Gradowski, an S Commando member in Auschwitz, wrote about their experiences, found buried near the crematoria. His words reveal a chilling insight into their feelings of helplessness and despair, referring to themselves as slaves denied even the dignity of being buried properly. They were unwilling witnesses to the depths of Nazi cruelty, forming a unique bond amidst their tragic fate. In 1944, some members staged an uprising, using makeshift weapons sourced secretly from the camp's factory, attempting to resist their oppressors. It showcased their unbreakable spirit. The S Commando faced heart-wrenching dilemmas daily. They knew the darkest Nazi secrets, making their survival uncertain, replacing them with new arrivals to maintain the machinery of death, erasing any eyewitnesses. Their moral world was blurred, torn between the need to survive and the agony of aiding mass murder. Some left behind written testimonies hidden in the camp's ruins, offering invaluable insights into their experiences. One note found in Auschwitz read of their desperation for humanity beyond the smoke of the crematoria, emphasizing their longing for a life beyond the horrors they endured. The Holocaust's horrifying transit system. The railways of the Reich, typically seen as symbols of progress and connection, took a horrifying turn under the Third Reich's control. Instead of their usual role in commerce and travel, these trains became instruments of unimaginable horror during the Holocaust. Far removed from any romanticized view of steam engines traversing beautiful landscapes, the Nazi railway system became the logistical backbone of the Holocaust, transporting victims to extermination camps. Germany had long been known for its advanced railway networks. However, during the Holocaust, this intricate web of rails turned into the lifeline of Adolf Hitler's monstrous vision. Heinrich Himmler, the SS leader and an architect of the Holocaust, recognized the efficiency of railways in mass extermination. By the early 1940s, these railways were ferrying people from across the Third Reich. Jews, Roma, resistance fighters, and others considered undesirable, crowded into cramped cattle cars, far from comfortable passenger compartments. Prisoners faced suffocating, overcrowded, and dark conditions. Some were so thirsty they attempted to drink moisture from the wooden walls of the carriages. As the war progressed, the Nazis expanded their ambitions, deporting people from distant lands like Greece, Norway, and France. Adolf Eichmann, responsible for mass deportations, coordinated with railway authorities to ensure a continuous flow of trains to the extermination camps. The efficiency was terrifyingly evident. Within just 2 months in 1942, over 300,000 Jews from the Warsaw Ghetto alone were transported to Treblinka. The location of these camps near major rail lines ensured smooth transit from the ghetto to the gas chamber. Despite this, some courageous individuals attempted to escape. A group of young Jews managed to break free from their carriage, leaping to freedom and evading their captors. Behind the bureaucracy of these transports, Julius Dorf Müller, the Reich Minister of Transport, coldly prioritized maintaining regular train schedules, even amidst the transportation for the Holocaust. However, amidst this darkness, these trains carried more than just the condemned. They held countless stories of hope, love, loss, and the undying human spirit, each wheel click echoing with the tales of those aboard. Unveiling SS leaders of Holocaust death camps. During the Holocaust, there were men and women dressed in SS uniforms who were responsible for overseeing the killing process. These individuals were the leaders and workers at places like Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec. They came from different backgrounds and had various reasons for their actions, making them puzzling historical figures. Consider Franz Stangl, the leader at Treblinka. Born in 1908 in Alt-Münster, Austria, Stangl initially worked in the police force. He took a dark turn when he became involved in a program that targeted people with disabilities. By the time he started at Treblinka in 1942, Stangl was fully committed to organizing mass murder. He was nicknamed White Death due to his preference for a white uniform. Although he often seemed calm, survivors remembered moments of his extreme cruelty. Shockingly, After the war, Stengel claimed he had no guilt about his actions, echoing the idea of evil being ordinary, as Hannah Arendt observed. On the other hand, Sobibor's leader was Franz Reichleitner, who also came from the Austrian police force. He had been part of the T4 program before overseeing the deaths of an estimated 100,000 Jews at Sobibor. Interestingly, Reichleitner met a violent end himself while on duty in Italy in 1944, which was similar to the fate he had orchestrated for countless others. At Belzec, Christian Wirth, known as the Beast of Belzec, became its first leader. His inclination toward violence began during World War I. Before Belzec, Wirth had a significant role in developing gas chamber technology for the T4 program. When questioned about the morality of his actions, he chillingly suggested that everyone bore guilt, but found it more comfortable within the SS. These leaders stand out, but it's important to remember the many officers, guards, and support staff who were part of this tragic theater. They joined for various reasons: loyalty to Nazi beliefs, personal ambition, or the ability to separate themselves from the act of killing. Rudolf Höss, the commandant of Auschwitz, expressed feeling a strong sense of duty that led him to justify his actions, reflecting the mental acrobatics these individuals engaged in to reconcile their actions with distorted ideologies of the time, exploring the human faces behind the numbers. There are moments of such immense darkness and devastation that words seem inadequate throughout history. This was the scale of horror in the Nazi death camps, where numbers, though cold and hard to grasp, hold stories of countless lives lost. Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec, hidden in the Polish countryside, stand as grim reminders of human cruelty. These weren't like regular concentration camps for forced labor. They were death factories designed to exterminate lives on an unimaginable scale. Treblinka, the most notorious, operated for only 15 months but swallowed an estimated 900,000 lives. The name Treblinka became synonymous with death due to the camp's notorious brutality. Sobibor, a little to the south, efficiently exterminated around 250,000 people within a short time frame. Belzec, further south, took the lives of at least 434,000 individuals, mainly Jews from Poland's Lublin district. SS officer Christian Wirth, Belzec's first commandant, infamously referred to it as a death factory. It's challenging to truly comprehend these figures. Imagine a camp processing 10,000 victims daily, equivalent to wiping out an entire small town's population every day. The Nazis faced challenges handling the sheer number of bodies, resorting to monstrous methods like using human fat to speed up cremation. Behind these numbers lie individual lives, each with a story. People like Janos Koch, a pediatrician who chose to accompany the 200 children in his care to Treblinka's gas chambers rather than abandon them, or Samuel Feldstein, a renowned artist killed in Sobibor with his family. There's a risk of these individuals and their stories fading away. However, it's these personal stories that offer the most profound understanding of the enormity of the extermination. Every number represents someone's family member, a parent, a sibling, or a child, and holds a universe of untold dreams, fears, and loves. Remarkable tales of compassion during the Holocaust. In a time of great darkness, some people shone brightly despite the overwhelming evil. These were the righteous among the nations, individuals who, faced with terrible cruelty, chose kindness over fear and humanity over hatred. In Krakow, Poland during the 1940s, when the Nazis terrorized the Jewish population, Oskar Schindler, an unexpected hero, used his factory to protect around 1,200 Jews. His famous Schindler's List saved many lives. He believed in treating people with dignity, saying, "When you know people, you have to treat them like human beings." Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat, acted bravely to save thousands of Jews. Using his diplomatic skills and determination, he provided protective passports, claimed buildings as Swedish territory, and turned them into safe havens. Across Europe, many others acted heroically. Ona Simaite in Lithuania smuggled food and messages into the Vilnius ghetto, helping Jewish students find shelter. In the Italian Alps, Don Giuseppe Gervasio, a Catholic priest, sheltered persecuted Jews in his monastery, helping them escape to Switzerland. In France, Pastor André Trocmi, when asked to identify Jews, stood by his belief that everyone is equal, protecting thousands in his town, Le Chambon-sur-Lignon. These courageous stories varied in background and origin. Some, like Miep Gies, who hid Anne Frank's family, are well known. while others remain in the whispers of history. Their actions reflect the Talmud's words, "Saving one life is like saving the whole world." Diaries and testimonies from Holocaust death camps. The voices of those who lived through illuminate moments in the vast story of the Holocaust. Diaries, testimonies, and stories from places like Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec act as windows, revealing a dark world. They show glimmers of humanity, resilience, and the harsh reality of life in the camps. Back in 1939 in Poland, the tension was palpable, signaling the storm approaching Europe. During these early war days, many Jews held on to hope by writing down their fears and dreams. Rutka Lacia, a young girl from Betzin like Anne Frank, kept a diary as her refuge. She wrote, "I can't believe I'll ever go out without the yellow star or that this war will end. If it does, I might lose my mind from joy." Although Rutka died in AIDS, her diary was found years later, a testament to her enduring spirit. In the forests of occupied Poland, Sobibor stood as a grim symbol of death. Yet even there, tales of human spirit surfaced. Jules Schelles, a Dutch Jew who survived Sobibor, recounted being crammed into freight cars, arriving at Sobibor, and losing his family within hours. His testimony showcased not just the horrors, but also his resilient spirit in documenting the camp's history. Treblinka, perhaps the most notorious death camp, claimed lives rapidly. However, among its darkness, stories of bravery emerged. Samuel Willenberg, a young Polish Jew and one of the few survivors,
Papiery, idź tam. Zobacz, co się tam dzieje. Ja tam poleciałem.
shared an escape plan from the camp. He vividly described the camp's ghastly atmosphere, marked by the constant cremations. Yet his accounts highlighted moments of humanity, small acts of kindness and fleeting connections that painted a fuller picture of Treblinka. Beyond survivors' accounts, even the confessions of Nazi officers offer chilling insights. Treblinka's commandant, Franz Stangl, captured in 1967, matter-of-factly recounted the camp's operations, stating, "I am clear in my conscience about what I did." It's a disturbing reminder of the depth of indoctrination and detachment from humanity. The indifference and fear of Holocaust bystanders. Within the chaos of the Holocaust, there was another kind of silence, a quieter but equally harmful response. The passive stance of bystanders. These people, either out of indifference or fear, chose to ignore the terrible things happening around them. Near the extermination camps, life in the towns and villages appeared normal. Trains passed by, carrying people to a grim fate, yet locals continued their daily routines. Some genuinely didn't know, while others deliberately avoided acknowledging the disturbing rumors. This behavior wasn't limited to areas close to the camps. Throughout Nazi-controlled Europe, discussions about the Holocaust happened behind closed doors. In Amsterdam, Anne Frank's family depended on a few kind people for years, surrounded by many who stayed indifferent, or might have even informed them. Anne's diary captured a mix of gratitude, fear, and doubt about the outside world. Internationally, discussions about the Holocaust were whispered about, not openly addressed. Reports about mass exterminations from the Polish government in exile were met with disbelief. Jan Karski, a member of the Polish resistance, tried to alert the world, meeting British and American leaders, but the enormity of the Nazi plan made it seem unbelievable. While some governments claimed wartime priorities for inaction, others had darker motives. Even before the Holocaust, the Evian Conference of 1938 saw most nations, including the US and Britain, refusing to accept many Jewish refugees. However, amidst this widespread indifference, there were pockets of resistance and compassion. Diplomats like Sweden's Raoul Wallenberg and Japan's Chiune Sugihara issued visas to save thousands of Jews. In Denmark, locals conducted a remarkable rescue, smuggling over 7,000 Jews to neutral Sweden. Holocaust survivor Elie Wiesel rightly pointed out that indifference, not hate, was the opposite of love. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Atrocities inside the worst Nazi concentration camps. Treblinka and Sobibor were among the most horrific acts during the Holocaust. Both were extermination camps designed with the sole purpose of mass murder. Treblinka, located in Poland, was operational between July 1942 and November 1943. It's estimated that around 800,000 to 1 million Jews were murdered there. The camp had two parts: Treblinka I, a forced labor camp, and Treblinka II, the extermination camp. Treblinka II was where victims were sent directly to gas chambers upon arrival. The conditions were horrendous, and the killings were systematic and ruthless. Sobibor, also situated in Poland, operated from May 1942 to October 1943. Around 250,000 Jews were killed there. Like Treblinka, Sobibor was an extermination camp, with gas chambers used to murder the majority of its victims. In October 1943, there was an uprising at Sobibor where a group of prisoners, led by Soviet prisoner of war Alexander Pechersky, staged a revolt. Although many died during the escape attempt, some managed to break out. This uprising was one of the few successful revolts in a Nazi extermination camp. Let us know what you think about what we just showed you. The post-war pursuit of justice for Holocaust crimes. Following World War II, Europe lay in ruins, marked not only by physical battlegrounds, but also by the profound scars of the Holocaust. The horrifying revelations of the Holocaust demanded justice, leading to two interconnected narratives: the frantic attempts by Nazis to hide their crimes and the relentless pursuit to hold them accountable. As Allied forces advanced into German territory, high-ranking Nazi officials, realizing the weight of their actions, tried to bury the secrets of places like Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec. SS Chief Heinrich Himmler ordered the exhumation and burning of thousands of bodies, turning the once deadly machines into massive crematories, emitting smoke as a final act of defiance. Amid these cover-up efforts, an intriguing incident unfolded at Sobibor in late 1943. The camp's commandant, Franz Reichleitner, gave a golden pocket watch to a local Polish farmer, suggesting it could buy back his life if needed. This watch later became damning evidence during his trial. Meanwhile, as the Allies liberated camp after camp, the scale of horror shocked soldiers and journalists. They documented evidence of the Nazis' brutal killing machines, contradicting the denials and ignorance feigned by captured SS officers and camp guards. The city of Nuremberg became synonymous with justice, hosting prominent post-war trials where top Nazi officials, diplomats, and military officers faced charges of crimes against humanity. Hermann Göring, Hitler's right-hand man, often clashed with prosecutors, deflecting blame despite overwhelming evidence. Beyond Nuremberg, justice pursued other figures like Franz Stangl, the notorious commandant of Treblinka, who fled to Brazil after the war. Eventually captured in 1967, during his trial, he chillingly minimized his role in Hitler's extermination plan. Survivors became advocates for remembrance and justice, providing crucial testimonies that led to the conviction of many perpetrators. Thomas Blatt, a survivor from Sobibor, dedicated himself to detailing the camp's operations, ensuring no culprits escaped justice. He often declared, "I lived to bear witness," honoring the memory of lost friends with an unwavering commitment, digging for humanity. In the obscured history where records are scarce and memories fade, archaeology embarks on a quest to uncover untold stories. Concentration camps like Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec, once sites of unimaginable horrors, have returned to serene landscapes, concealing echoes of their tragic past. Enter archaeology, a discipline attuned to the Earth's whispers, unraveling tales long buried in its depths. Tracing back to 2014, a team led by Dr. Caroline Sturdy-Coles delved into Treblinka's grim panorama, discovering remains of gas chambers beneath the peaceful meadows. Astonishingly, locals had used bricks from these chambers to rebuild post-war Poland, integrating remnants of tormented souls into the nation's revival. Sobibor, explored in 2007 by Israeli archaeologist Yoram Haimi, unearthed personal effects like eyeglasses, rings, and coins, even discovering a pendant similar to Anne Frank's, weaving a poignant connection between two tragic destinies. In the southeastern terrains of Poland, Belzec's secrets were gradually revealed by Andrzej Kola's team in the early 2000s, uncovering mass graves and poignant remnants like children's toys and utensils, offering glimpses into lives cut short. Writer and Holocaust survivor Primo Levi's words resonate. True witnesses are the drowned, the dead, the disappeared. Ethical concerns shadow these excavations, hence many archaeologists opt for non-intrusive methods, respecting the sanctity of these sites. Despite the solemnity, these pursuits serve to combat Holocaust denial and preserve historical truths. Each discovery, whether an artifact or structural remnant, revives a voice, retells a story, and remembers a soul. The act of digging becomes emblematic of humanity's relentless pursuit of truth and remembrance. Amidst the chilling names of Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec, tales of tenacity and valor emerge, illuminating accounts of resilient spirits in the face of adversity. Memorializing the Holocaust at Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec. There are places amidst the vast landscapes of Poland that bear witness to the darkest moments in human history. These grounds, where unimaginable horrors occurred, now serve as solemn reminders of the past. Today, Treblinka, Sobibor, and Belzec are not mere remnants of history. They are places of deep reflection, learning, and remembrance. Treblinka, situated 80 miles northeast of Warsaw, once saw nearly 900,000 souls meet their tragic fate. Now transformed, the site is marked by a field of 177,000 rocks, each representing a town or community that lost its people in the camp. Among them, a prominent stone bears the word Warsaw, honoring the city's once thriving Jewish community. Renowned Holocaust survivor and Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel stood among these stones, emphasizing the survivors' duty to remember the dead, as forgetting them would be akin to killing them again. Southward lies Sobibor, nestled amid dense forests. A memorial pathway guides visitors through the camp's former grounds, tracing the inmates' tragic journey from arrival to the gas chambers. Trees planted by survivors and their families serve as living testaments to resilience and memory. A survivor, Jules Shelvis, shared an old Jewish proverb during a memorial, emphasizing that a person is forgotten only when their name is forgotten, a sentiment now synonymous with Sobibor's memorial mission. Lesser known but equally significant, Belzec hosts a hauntingly beautiful memorial complex that opened in 2004. The site features a museum and a vast field covered in black basalt and railway gravel, symbolizing the victims and the trains that brought them to their tragic end. The design reflects the camp's chaotic history. Historian Michael Tregenza reflected on Belzec's transformation from a place of oblivion and desecration into one of memory and education during the memorial's inauguration. Beyond these physical sites, various educational initiatives strive to ensure that the lessons from the past are passed down to future generations. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.